We made the decision, that stupid decision, to not have a wedding like a ceremony, because we wanted to use the money that my mum was going to give us on boxing to fund this like crazy boxing journey that I went on.
So your mum was funding a boxing journey.
She didn't know that.
Right, okay.
We said we needed it for rent. And we were close to being homeless as well.
But boxing came first.
Boxing always comes first.
Hello, welcome to Lives Less Ordinary on the BBC World Service YouTube channel. I'm Jo Fidgen. In the studio with me today, a woman who never pulls her punches, Ramla Ali. Born in Somalia, raised in Britain, champion boxer, Olympian, model, humanitarian, and yet all the while that she was winning titles all over the place, she didn't fess up to her mum that she was boxing. Ramla, it's fantastic to have you in the studio today. So,
Thank you for having me.
you are a strong woman, you are a successful woman, you're a brilliant boxer.
I'd like to think so.
So how come you wouldn't tell your mum what you were up to?
So I was brought up in a strict Muslim household. And I think there's this like stigma around Muslim girls boxing. I remember the first thing my mum said to me, but look at what you're wearing shorts and a vest. It's like, yeah, mum, that's usually what boxers compete in. So I just kept it a secret. But then, you know, when it all came out, the first thing my mum said to me was, this is such a dangerous sport and I can't be supportive in allowing my daughter to go down this dangerous path of boxing. I completely get it. You know, I've never held it against her for guilting me, let's say, into to stop boxing, because she was just doing it because she thought that's what was best for me.
How did she find out initially?
So I was competing at this big European event, 5 rings, I believe, 300 boxers, and there was a TV channel broadcasting at the time, and even though I asked not to be included in the broadcast, I must have slipped through, and there I was on TV, and yeah, my whole family watched it, and it's the first time. I mean, my mum always knew that I was like going to the gym and doing different things, but she never thought that I was doing something like boxing.
So what did she say when you went home?
I mean, she was furious. My mum loves to know everything that's going on in the house. She loves to say that she's very streetwise and she knows when we're keeping secrets from her. Did you really? But she was really furious that I'd kept the secret from her for so long. And she just kind of not asked me because that's not really my mum. She kind of bullied me into stopping, saying, you know, think about my health and this is going to send me to an early grave. And yeah, so I agreed with her that I would stop. And I did for a while, but when you stop for yourself, that's a bit different. But when somebody kind of forces you to stop, you always wonder, what if? And that's what I was wondering for such a long time. So I went back to the gym again.
Where does the passion come from?
When I first walked into a boxing gym, it was at a time when women's boxing wasn't really a thing. And I remember I was the only girl in the gym, and there weren't even any female changing rooms. It was just this thing of girls can't do it. And I'm always the type of person to want to prove to everyone, watch me, yes, I can. I always just want to prove people wrong.
When you're getting ready for a fight,
Yeah.
what's going on inside?
The fight doesn't usually seem real until I have a face-off with my opponent, and then it's like, oh, I'm doing it. I'm going to go in the ring. So up until then, I'm just fully focused on listening to my coaches, trying to execute game plan as much as I possibly can, and then you you get to fight week and you're facing your opponent, and then there's all sorts of emotions going on in your head. The thing that I always think about is I just want to win. I want to win for myself. I want to win for my coach, and I want to win for my family and friends and everyone watching. But mainly myself.
We'll talk later about some of the biggest fights that you've been in the ring. But I'd like also to talk to you about some of the biggest fights you've had outside the ring. Starting with your family having to flee Somalia. So you were born there.
Yeah.
Your parents were merchants in Somalia, selling what sort of thing, involved in what kind of trade?
My mum was selling stuff. That's all I know. Basically, she would travel around the world and bring back things into Somalia that you couldn't really get in Somalia. That's what I know. So I don't know.
Your dad too?
Yes. So they had a shop together. My dad was initially working for the president of Somalia with accounts. He was very good with the numbers. And so he had a really cool job working for the president, got married to my mum. And yeah, they opened up a shop and they sold stuff.
And they and your older siblings had a good life in Mogadishu?
Yeah, we had a great life.
But there was a civil war.
Yes.
And you were born into that
Yes.
civil war.
Yes.
In the late 80s.
Late 80s, early 90s, who knows? I don't know my date of birth. So if you ask me, I'm forever 21. No, jokes aside, I honestly don't know.
Just too much going on when you were born?
So when I was born, it was the Civil War, too much going on. Not a lot of people placed emphasis on birth certificates, death certificates, marriage licenses, things like that. And so me and all my siblings don't know when we were born.
You were still a baby when one of your older brothers, Abdul Qadir, was killed.
Yes. You know, the Civil War broke. He got hit by a stray grenade, and there wasn't, hospitals were down, everything, all the buildings were getting blown up, cars were being bombed. So when he was hit, my dad put him on a wheelbarrow and wheeled him to the hospital, which was about 3 miles away. Through the middle of the night. And then my mum, you just never think, oh, it's going to happen to me and it's going to be, my kid. So my mum, the next day was making my brother's favourite meal to take to the hospital, and she got to the hospital to be told that he'd passed away, sadly.
Devastating event. Was that the moment that your parents said, we must leave?
Yeah. We didn't leave with any personal belongings, just the clothes we were wearing. And we travelled by a lorry. And as we were travelling, there were militia trying to shoot up the lorry. And so many people got struck inside the lorry. So we were travelling for hours to the coast of Kismayo, and there was loads of dead bodies in the lorry with us. And so we got to the coast and we snuck out in a cave overnight. I know you're like, because you've never heard this story before. I mean, I've never told anyone any of this. So we hid in a cave and waited for the boat to arrive, and the boat that was meant to have 50 people on board, 200 people were just, panicking and trying to survive naturally. And so 200 people jumped on. Loads of people died along the way. I almost died. I contracted head lice, and someone's bro science on board was just to say, yeah, just put some rat poison in her hair and, it'll kill the head lice. And yeah, I mean, I got really sick because I had rat poison in my hair. But I survived because I'm here now. And so we got to Mombasa in Kenya. And through the help of family that we had there, friends that we made along the way, and, aid. My mum would queue up for hours for aid that was being provided. And that's how we survived. And got on a flight to London. This was back when London, was very welcoming to immigrants. We were lucky. So we came to the UK and here I am now.
For those of your family members who are older and who remember it,
Yeah.
how does it affect them?
My mum is like a really strong woman. I've never seen her cry. I mean, I've seen her cry when like family members have died, but like I've never seen her cry when she's telling these stories, because she probably feels like she has to be strong for us. She tells the story like, yeah, it happened. Okay, yeah, let's move on. It's the strangest thing. It happens to loads of people now. So yeah, we're just the lucky ones. That's kind of how they tell the story.
The lucky ones.
Yeah.
But they lost their country, their home.
Yeah.
They lost your brother.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then come to the UK. And you say it was a welcoming place to come.
At the time, yeah. Yeah.
But your dad would also have lost his kind of social standing and his status, and adjusting to a country where he is a refugee in a very different
like an
place.
alien country to him. Yeah. My dad took a job working in a construction site. He didn't know the first thing about building. It was not very good, so he was let go.
The area you moved to in East London would have had a largely South Asian community at the time. Did you feel you stood out?
Oh, yeah.
How was school?
School was hard. I went to an all-girls school. And let's be honest, girls aren't the best. They're quite mean, especially when you're different and you stand out. And I was different and I stood out. And I was big.
You were big.
I was big. And I smelt like my home. I smelt like a Somali home. Like onions and garlic in your clothes. That's what my clothes smelled like. And target for being bullied.
What form did the bullying take?
Name calling, a lot of pole taking. Oh, this is horrible. So there was like a new girl that didn't really speak English that started school, and a poll was taken for the girls to say, who do you like better? And no one picked me. I know. Horrible. And so I found it. Well, I didn't find it. It was kind of put on my desk.
What, so they got a piece of paper saying, do you like the new girl who nobody knew at that time, or you better?
Yeah.
And you didn't get any votes?
I didn't get any votes. But do you know what? The funny thing is now, they're all like messaging me to say, oh, hi, how you doing? And I always think, well, you're not going to apologise for what you did.
Were you ever picked on for your faith?
No, because it was predominantly Muslim school.
Muslim school.
Yeah.
You said you stood out in this community. Did you dress differently? Did you wear a hijab?
So I started off wearing a hijab, and one day as I was walking home from Quran studies, some boys picked on me and pulled my hijab off, and the safety pin that you tie here to secure it like lodged into my neck. And I remember thinking ever since that day, I don't want to wear the hijab anymore. And I haven't worn it ever since. And of course, I'll wear it, when I have to go to the mosque for Eid prayers and, things like that. But ever since that day, I just chose to take it off.
So at that point in your life, how did you feel about yourself?
I didn't like myself. It was like a vicious cycle. I'd eat my feelings, get big, look at myself in the mirror, get depressed, and then eat my feelings again. It was horrible. And I'd hide food in my room and I'd eat on the way home. And my mum would say, have you had lunch? I'd be like, no. And then I'll eat again. I was on a destructive path. And I remember a GP telling my mum that my BMI was so high that I was on a path to obesity. And my mum, through my sister, got me a gym membership at East Ham Leisure Centre. And as a 12-year-old in a gym, it's easy to become very intimidated by the men that are like chiseled, or the women that just have matching outfits like bras and leggings and just super toned. And then it was from there that I decided to go to classes, and I stumbled into a boxercise class.
Right.
Boxercise is like fitness boxing, so it was somewhere where I could get fit, get healthy, look good. It just gave me this buzz and this feeling, and I felt so euphoric.
Really euphoric. That's a strong word.
Yeah.
I always think of boxing as a good way to get rid of anger. Is that not how it works?
Oh, it is. Yeah. It is very good to release some anger.
Is that why you wanted to go up a step to actual boxing?
Yeah,
to let rip.
Yes, because once a week just wasn't enough. And the boxing club that I found was offering 3 times a week for juniors.
So your mum knew you were going to the gym because she'd been the one who'd suggested it.
Yeah.
But you just thought, she doesn't need to know about the boxing?
Yeah.
What about, when you step up a gear, you must be coming back with bruises,
black eyes, come home with a broken nose, all sorts.
How do you explain that away?
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes it was like some sunglasses and normal glasses, or sometimes it's just try and avoid mum for as long as you can. So you just quickly go in the house and run up the stairs. My younger brother, as soon as he found out that I was competing, that I was boxing, he was so supportive, and he'd like bring food up to my room when I was trying to avoid mum, and he'd help me sneak out the toilet door, and he was very, very helpful.
So he was the only family member who knew?
Who knew, yeah.
How far would he go with the excuses for you?
Oh, he come to Sweden with me one time because he told my mum that he was going to a football tournament there. And he said, I need a chaperone. Can Ramla come with me? I was like, okay, cool, I'll go. But I was competing, and he was just eating. He wasn't doing a football tournament. He was just enjoying life.
At some point, you found time to go to university to study law.
I did.
While working at the boxing gym.
And I also had another job working at Virgin Active as well.
Another gym.
Were
there more women involved in boxing at that time?
Yes. So women's boxing really boomed after the inclusion of women's boxing in the 2012 games, which was so good because it then meant that you had more girls, better girls to compete with. It was just great.
And more exposure, which is, of course, why you then get spotted on the TV by your family and your cover is blown.
Yes. Oh, God, yeah.
And you said you did try and give up boxing for a while, but it sounds like it had become part of you. It was responsible for your growing confidence. Could you feel the change in you?
Yeah. Boxing allows you to be like so disciplined in your life. And so I missed that. I missed having that purpose of waking up at 6 a.m.
So you get back into it secretly. And you take part in the National Amateur Championships in England in 2015.
And you win. And I win. Yay!
So you're still living at home with your
at the time,
parents?
Yeah.
So how does that work? How do you go out to take part in a championship like this without getting
So I was
spotted?
really lucky. I lived 3 or 4 roads down from York Hall, where it was taking place. Left my kit bag outside the house, and I told my mum I was going for a run. Picked up my bag, went to York Hall, competed. I didn't really stay to watch any of the other fights. And I gave my bag to my coach, and I went home.
Having won
and telling no one. I mean, I did tell my brother in secret in the
Your
room.
younger brother?
Yeah, I was like, come. I was like, look, I've just won the nationals. And I was like, but you got to be quiet. You can't tell anyone. And we celebrated together in the room. And that was it.
You couldn't tell
I couldn't
your
tell
mum and
anyone.
dad?
No.
So what did you do that evening?
I walked down to like a pizza shop near my house, got a pizza and ate it in my room. It's disgusting. I shouldn't really be eating in bed, but I just won the nationals. I could do whatever I want.
So are you feeling like over the moon or just a bit kind of sad that there's a
Yeah.
secret?
But at the time, it was just like, well, this is what I've got to do to keep my passion.
And you did it again the following year.
Yeah.
You won the 2016 National Amateur Championships in England as well.
Yes.
And same scenario?
So that one was taking place in Liverpool.
Oh, quite some way from home
It's
then.
quite some way from home, and I told my mum there was like a work trip that I had to go to in Liverpool, and she believed it.
And no celebrations again, or at least quiet ones.
I was really lucky. A couple friends drove to watch me compete, and they drove me back, and we were celebrating together in the car. So, what are you gonna eat? Yeah, let's get a pizza. Pizza for everyone. You get a pizza. You get a pizza. You all get pizzas. And yeah, it was a really fun 4.5, 5 hour journey with friends who came to watch me.
And then in the front door, not a word.
Not a word, no.
It's about a week after that you get married.
So the nationals happened, I believe it was March of 2016. I'd met my husband July of 2016. He proposed August of 2016. And we got married October of 2016.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a whirlwind.
And we're still married now.
So, okay, I've got questions. Where did you meet?
So we met at the boxing gym that I was working at. And he was very like watchy at the beginning. He's just always watching me train. And I just thought, oh God, this guy's so annoying. He knows this. So he shouldn't be rolling his eyes back there.
He's behind the glass.
Yeah, don't roll your eyes. And I remember there was one day, because I was opening up the gym. I was the receptionist at the gym, but I had the keys and I was opening up. And he was there waiting at the gate. I thought, oh my God. So I pretended to be on my phone to avoid talking to him. But then it was that same day that I asked him, would you like some coffee? Because he was training there at the time. Would you like some coffee? And he said, yeah. And we got to talking and I thought, wow, he's actually quite a nice person. Damn, I was horrible to him before. But he's not a boxer. He was just training because he's just always loved boxing.
So that was July. Mm-hmm. And he proposes in August. Mm-hmm. And did you hesitate?
No, I said yes. Do you know what? When you know, you know. And I knew. And I know it was really quick because even when I, brought him home to my mum's and I told mum, like, we want to get married. So this is too soon. Get to know each other. Like, just see each other for like a year. And then after a year, if you want to get married, then get married. But we were adamant. And my parents and his parents said, look, it's not going to last. You're getting married too soon. But you know what? Now they owe us an apology because 9 years later, we are still married.
Well, do they give permission? Do they need to give permission?
So how it works in Islam is that your dad gives you away and he has to give you away. So I really needed his blessing. And when we convinced him, look, this is what we want, then he gave his blessing.
How was the wedding day? How were your nerves? Better or worse than on fight day?
Honestly, we didn't really have a ceremony. It was just done in my mum's house because we wanted to use the money that my mum was going to give us on boxing. We made the decision, that stupid decision, to not have a wedding, like a ceremony, and use it to fund this like crazy boxing journey that I went on.
So your mum was funding a boxing journey.
She didn't know that.
Right, okay.
We said we needed it for rent. And we were close to being homeless as well.
but boxing came first.
Boxing always comes first.
There's a big event in the middle, and you win the GB championships.
Yeah.
So does that make you at the time the best female boxer in Britain?
Yeah, at my weight category. Yeah, and I still couldn't tell my parents. But I win the GB championships after I've been married. So I was very lucky in that I could have someone who loves me celebrate with me for the first time. Okay, yes, like my brother used to celebrate with me. But it was just quite nice to just have Richard there watching me compete.
Did he buy you pizza?
No, it was disgusting, but we walked into McDonald's and I got 20 chicken nuggets. I popped it one by one, 20 chicken nuggets, because there was no pizza on the journey down from Liverpool.
You didn't get picked for
Team GB.
Team GB for the Olympics. No. This would have been for the 2020 Tokyo. So if you were going to compete internationally, you'd have to find another way to do it.
Yes.
So you think, okay, how about I compete for Somalia?
I remember I initially thought me competing for Somalia was a bit of a cop-out, like, well, couldn't get onto GB, let me do the next best thing. But I remember a friend at the time saying it's going to be the best thing that you've ever done, because you get to go to all the tournaments that you want to go to. You can do anything that you want to go to. You're not restricted by, like, a federation that's all political and stuff. You should definitely do it. And at the time, there was no boxing federation for Somalia, so I had to set one up.
Boxing had been banned in Somalia, I think, since 1976. Why had it been banned?
I don't know, but I know it was definitely banned since 1976. And so getting it up and running again was such a task.
How do you even go about persuading a country to take up boxing?
You just have to show them the merits and the positives to come from it. Like, you know, I'd be putting Somalia on the map, and I'd be able to, you know, wear the nation's coat of arms with pride, and, you know, wave the flag everywhere. And I think that's kind of what sold it to them. And the fact that, you know, I wasn't just some person that just dreamed it up. I'd actually won nationals, and, you know, I'd won titles in the UK. And at the time, AIBA, so Amateur International Boxing Association, had a rule that stipulated you weren't allowed to compete for two different countries within 2 years of one another. So having written to GB and asking them to release me, I didn't get that release, so I had to wait for 2 years. And, you know, I didn't want to just not be doing anything for 2 years. So what I did was just applied to like small international tournaments where you didn't have to compete for your country, but you could compete for a club in your country. And I just made up a club.
Literally made one up.
Literally made one up.
And no one checked.
No one checked. And that's how I was doing it.
Had you even visited Somalia by
At
then?
this point, no.
Right.
But I think it just goes to show, like, me and my husband, when we put something in our heads, we just go out and do it. I don't like taking no for an answer, because waiting for permission, you'd be waiting forever.
It's while you're trying to set up the Boxing Federation of Somalia that you give an interview to try to get some publicity for this.
Yeah.
Risky business, because your mum doesn't know. And the moment you start talking publicly, she might find out.
Yeah.
Which she did. So how did that happen exactly?
I remember I gave an interview for a Somali channel called Dal Sur, and my uncle at the time had listened to it. He called me and he's told me how proud he was of me. And I said, well, mum still doesn't know, and she'll be so angry if she finds out. And he said, don't worry, you leave your mum to me, but you just continue competing and making us all proud and putting Somalia on the map. And I said, oh, thank you very much. And I remember I was competing in Denmark under this fake Somali gym. And my mum called me, and it was the first time that she'd ever called me to wish me good luck and for a tournament.
So she just called you while you're
Yeah.
at the tournament and broke it to you that she now knew you were boxing and
she was okay with it.
Okay with it.
because
How
of
had
my
your
uncle.
uncle persuaded her?
I don't know. He's my mum's older brother, and I just feel like she listens to him, and he probably just told her like the good that I was doing. You know, I was going to be competing for Somalia. I'd be inspiring a whole generation of young kids, and I think she was just okay with it based on that. I think she just needed someone within the family to tell her, look, stop giving your daughter a hard time and just jump on board. And that was her brother, who she looks up to. And I think that's what happened.
How did it feel to hear her say good luck?
Oh, the best. I wish, honestly, like having family support is so important. I remember when I was competing with no support in the audience, and, you know, my opponents would have like a huge team with them, and having that is so important. And just hearing her say good luck just meant so much to me. I was getting all goosebumpy and super emotional.
How did it go in Denmark?
Oh, I won.
Oh, you won.
But that's probably down to my mum. Yes, giving me that good luck.
Was she the first person you called afterwards?
Yeah.
She was.
Yeah. I said, Mum, I won. And she was like, oh, that's amazing. That's all I was doing, just thinking about how it was going to go and if you'd be safe. And I'm so glad you're safe. And yeah, I can't wait to see you when you get home.
Oh.
Yeah.
So since that point, have you had family support?
Oh my God, I've had a whole nation of support. The first time I've been back to Somalia was September just gone. Since I fled, it's the first time I've been back. And I stepped off the airplane and it was thousands of people waiting for me, to like wearing t-shirts with my face on it, and ministers there and just all sorts of people. And as I was walking to my hotel, it was just queues and like just they were just lining the streets singing and dancing. And I spent 10 days there, and I couldn't walk the street alone without thousands of people stopping to take a picture with me. And I couldn't even eat in peace. I mean, the first few days it was all like fun. Oh my God, I'm so famous. And then day 3 I was like, oh, please leave me alone. I just want to eat food. Yeah, it was incredible to know how much I inspired and how big of a support I have from my nation.
Well, we should just talk about what you've done for boxing in Somalia
Yeah.
in that time. So you did get this federation set up. You were able to compete with Somalia written on your back.
Yes.
And you've taken home the first boxing medal in international competition, which was a gold.
Yeah.
From the Africa Zone Championships in 2019. You did compete in Tokyo at the delayed Olympics.
Yes.
I know you weren't very happy with your performance, but what a thing to be an Olympian.
I know. So a friend of mine painted it out to me. She said there's like 0.001% of the world's population that can call themselves an Olympian, and you are one of them, so you should be proud. And I think it was when she painted it like that to me, I was just like, wow, okay, yeah, I'm an Olympian. That's really cool.
They will say that failure is a very necessary part of success.
Yeah. If you keep succeeding, what are you ever learning? Okay, great, you're winning all the time. But if you never fail, how can you grow from that? How can you learn from that? So I think you're right. Failure is very necessary for success and continued success.
How does it feel to wear your country's kit and to hear your country's national anthem when you win?
Honestly, I've never heard the national anthem until I won. And so when you're doing international competitions and you win gold, they always play your national anthem. And it was the first time I heard it, and I was like, oh, wow, this is different. But it's quite cool because you get all emotional hearing it, because it it puts together all these weeks and months of hard work, and that's you did it.
Hence the reception you got when you did go back to Somalia. I hear the president wanted to meet you too.
Yeah, I met the president. I got the first, what is it called, honorary thing? Sorry.
The first honorary thing in Somalia.
I got the biggest honour, the highest honour in Somalia. The president gave it to me for inspiring a generation of kids, girls, and just continuing to put, Somalia on the map and showing the world that we are more than just war and famine, and there's so much positivity to come out of Somalia, and I think that's what that honour was.
Because you could go public with your boxing, because your mum now knew and it was safe to go out, all sorts of things have happened. So you've become a UNICEF ambassador, a model. How did you like moving into modelling?
It was nice, like getting paid to just stand in front of a camera. It took a while for me to become a bit more natural, because, growing up, I was the kid that was told you're ugly. And so how could I see myself pretty in front of a camera? So it took a really long time for me to become somewhat like I deserve to be there type thing.
On the cover of Vogue.
Yeah.
Has it changed how you see yourself?
Sometimes. You can never get that little kid out of your head as much as you try, but every so often I'm like, wow, I look cute.
And the other big thing you've done that I want to mention is you set up Sisters Club. So this was originally set up, I think, specifically for Muslim women to come and have a go at boxing, to get fit,
Yeah.
and so on. I think it's expanded since then. It's now free classes to any woman, got various bases in London.
I initially targeted religious minorities, the ethnic minorities, and women who had suffered from domestic abuse. And over the years, it has grown so much that it's now open to any woman, because you might not necessarily fit into any of those groups, but you might not want to go to a gym with a bunch of men who come up to you like you asked for the attention, and they'll come up to you and say, well, you're squatting wrong, and you're just like, dude, did I ask your opinion? I'm squatting because I want to squat. So a lot of the women that come to these classes just want to avoid that. Especially within Sisters Club, you create a sisterhood. I know a lot of the women are now friends outside of the class, and they go to each other's homes, and that is, why I fell in love with boxing as well. Like, I was creating friends that I didn't necessarily have in school. I was creating friends in the gym. My friends till today are friends that I've made in the boxing gym. They're getting a lot of self-confidence. I heard a story about how one woman who has quite a number of kids, I believe, somewhere between 9 and 11, who attends Sisters Club, who was being beaten up by her husband every day. And she said because of Sisters Club, she finally plucked up the courage to leave him, and she's moved out with all her kids. And, hearing stories like that, it just makes you realise that you've done your job right.
You ever tried to persuade your mum to come along?
So my mum came to a Sisters Club class once, and she just sat and watched. I said, Mum, get involved. She's like, no, it's not for me.
But she came.
But she came and watched, yeah.
And has she seen you fight?
Never. She hates watching me fight. She said, the day you retire will be the best day in the world. Oh, God. Okay, thanks, Mum.
What does your mum say to you about everything you've achieved?
So there was a day when we were in Somalia, and this was really cool, but I got to watch a historic first 11-a-side women's football game. And before the game, they called me up into the pitch, and they'd written a song for me. But I FaceTimed my mum, and I showed her, look, this is happening right now. The stadium was packed. And she shed a tear.
Oh, for the first time ever, pretty much.
For the first time ever. And that was really cool to witness.
Ramla, thank you so very much for joining us. And thank you for watching Lives Less Ordinary. If you would like not to miss an episode, then please do like and subscribe to the BBC World Service YouTube channel. And we'll see you next time.